What is up, wrestling fans? Welcome to another episode of the Smark Out Moment Smack Talk podcast. I'm your host, as always, Tony Mango. Joining me, as always, are Robert E. Felice.
I'm a winner.
And the man who's going to be steering the ship for a good majority of this episode, because he is the one controlling the WWE Fantasy League, is Callum Wiggins.
User.
Hey, no.
You're both losers, because I won. I won the most recent one.
Yeah.
I'm the king of this competition. I rule this competition, and I also am the winner of this competition. It's been predetermined.
So like we need to start chanting the you could take that coronation and shove it up your ass thing like they did.
Oh, I'm totally down for that,
Yeah.
if you want to start doing that.
I thought that was brilliant. That was great. Yeah, so that's what we're doing today. We are picking our initial teams for the next how would you call it? The season, I guess? Yeah, I guess that makes the most sense.
Yeah, the latest season is the 2023-2024 season of the Fantasy League.
I was gonna say like the WrestleMania 40 season. I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. Oh, the WrestleMania 39. Well, the WrestleMania 39's done. So yeah, 2023-2024 season of the Fantasy League. Callum is going to explain some new rules, some of the old rules that are carrying over. We're gonna pick, I think it's 10 each this time around.
Yes. For the moment, it will just be 10 picks each rather than going through the entire roster, which was a bit of a pain to manage.
Yeah.
just speaking personally. So we're going to switch things up a little bit, but I'll explain the rules as we go along with it.
Yeah, and as we do that, of course, we want to know what you guys think about our picks. And if you are joining us live for this, then try to influence our opinions one way or another. We'll listen to what you guys have in mind. But if you're listening after the fact, then let us know who you think ended up with the best team, who you think should have picked who at different times. How did this person end up being drafted fifth, or whatever it might be. Now I'm curious who's going to get drafted fifth. But drop your thoughts in the comments below the way that you would with any other kind of thing. Make sure that you're also doing all their good stuff, like hitting the like button, making sure that you are subscribed to this channel, ringing the little notification bell. That way you know when we go live for things like this, but also when we go live for the post show of the Backlash 2023 pay-per-view review. And make sure that if you want to support us in any other kinds of means, that you can click on that little join button, which gives you access to the same things as the Patreon, like the Darkcast and the Pick Your Poison tier, or even just the $1 a month tier. If you want to do things on an individual basis and toss a little spare change our way, then there's a little thanks button that Marco has been so generous enough to be clicking on for the past couple episodes. Thank you for that, Marco. And of course, if you want to pick up merchandise, pick it up at Redbubble or TeePublic, but I would emphasize TeePublic over Redbubble, because Redbubble is awful when it comes to their prices. And keep in mind that we not only have the episode of the Hot Tags coming up on this week, but we also, of course, did a different main event from the pay-per-view point prediction side of Backlash. So go check that out if you haven't done that already. And yeah, that's what we're going to be getting into here. It's going to be a pretty quick episode compared, this is going to be some 2-hour edition or anything, but we do need to have a little screen share thing here. So let me switch some of my stuff over up on my screen and get you guys to where you can see what we're actually doing here. Okay, so that's the draft board, which means I am passing this over to Callum to explain some of the rules and how this is going to work.
Okay, so let's start with the kind of league/draft/trade rules. So the teams will be drafted across the entirety of the Raw, SmackDown, and NXT rosters as they stand at this moment in time. You'll see that I haven't put their current brand affiliations on there because I didn't know what they were until yesterday. So it doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things anyway. It doesn't really affect anything if one of them's on Raw and one of them's NXT. They still get similar points available to them. Each competitor of us three will select 10 superstars from the available rosters on this show. So that's going to be the starting level. You'll see that on the Fantasy League table that the top 5 picks under all of our names are highlighted in yellow. These are our protected picks, so they can never be traded away by the actions of an opponent. I'll explain how that could possibly happen later on. But those 5 are all going to be safe. The only way that they can be removed from your team is if the person who is the head of that team decides to get rid of one of them and change someone else to be a protected pick instead. All players must draft a minimum of 3 women in their initial 10, and they must select at least one NXT superstar.
I'll write that
So that's
note down for myself. And one NXT. Now that can overlap, right? You could pick an NXT person and have that be one of the women. Or are you saying one NXT man as well?
Oh no, absolutely. It can be any way you want to take it. That's just the parameters you have to work with. So if your NXT superstar is a woman, that also counts as one of your 3 women's pick.
Okay.
Picks. So you can decide how you want to go about it. Both male and female superstars are eligible, of course. Tag teams, factions, stables are not drafted as units. Each superstar must be picked individually. You will see on the draft board, no picking Paul Heyman or Adam Pearce or other people that we have before. These must be people that wrestle matches and can have a potential win-loss record across the course of the year. There'll be a reason for that as well, which I'll explain slightly later on. Again, this is the rules thing. This is what everyone loves to hear. It's just rules, rules, rules. It's great. Points are only scored for results on pay-per-views and episodes of Raw, SmackDown, and NXT, or premium live events if you prefer. Anything that happens on main event, level up, any other additional show that isn't like, I guess, part of a main premium live event or one of the main roster television shows, or NXT, of course, is does not count towards their scores. Following after every pay-per-view event, 1 new superstar will be drafted to each team, with the first pick going to the winner of the pay-per-view prediction contest. That's all these little additional sections you have here. So every single month we'll be drafting 1 new superstar onto our team. So the teams will be growing every single month, or every single pay-per-view at the very least. So just to keep in mind that these won't be our final teams, but they're just going to grow exponentially at this point. To add a bit of jeopardy to the mix, there are also special rules based on our pay-per-view prediction contest to try and make them seem like they're worth a damn. Well, that's important.
It's just the way that you phrased it. I like that.
Well, they're not. Otherwise, they won't be. It's just so people with. So this is the way it's going to work. So it's going to be an accumulation rather than just a one-off result in certain cases. So once you win 1 pay-per-view prediction victory, you can, throughout the course of the remainder of the season, you can trade 1 superstar off of your team and replace them with someone else if you so choose to. You don't have to do that, and you don't even have to do that on the day of the pay-per-view. You can do that any time between then and the next pay-per-view. You can just decide, okay, randomly, I'm just going to trade this person out and trade someone else in. Just let me know, and I'll just do that for you. Once you win 2 pay-per-view prediction victories, you can trade up to 2 superstars at any time between 1 pay-per-view and the next pay-per-view. So you could trade 1 and then see if you want to just hold out for a little longer, see if you want to wait for someone else to come in, and then can trade someone else later on in the thing as well. And as I said, this is a cumulatively thing. So let's say that the first pay-per-view predictions contest, which is going to count towards the Fantasy League, will be Night of Champions. So let's say Tony wins that pay-per-view prediction contest. Next pay-per-view along, Money in the Bank, say Rob wins that one. Tony can still, between Money in the Bank and SummerSlam, make a trade because he has 1 pay-per-view prediction victory. So that's going to just carry over constantly. I'll keep a tally of how many pay-per-view predictions people have won. So, and then I'll let you know at the end of at the start of every single, I guess, cycle, if you want to call it, every single pay-per-view cycle, that what you can and can't do between them in terms of messing about with your teams. People with 3 pay-per-view prediction victories can force one of their opponents to trade away one of their unprotected picks. So anyone from the top 5, anyone from the bottom 5, or further down, obviously, because they'll be adding new people to the team as it goes along. And as well as still being able to trade their own superstars as well. So keep that in mind. So that's kind of like when you start entering the fuck people over territory rather than just supporting your own team.
Yeah, you could end up saying, I'm forcing you to take Sheamus out. Oh, look at that. Exactly. I'm going to put Sheamus on my team.
Yes, of course. You can absolutely do that. And if someone wins 4 or more pay-per-view prediction victories, which is possible over the course of the year, because obviously there's a lot of pay-per-views and someone could just completely sweep pay-per-view predictions, They can do one of the following things. They can either force both of their opponents to trade out one of the superstars of their choice. They can trade one of their team for another of their opponent's unprotected picks. So if one of the people is doing really well on their opponent's team and they just want to switch them out immediately, directly, then you can just do that straight away. Or they can double their team's points for 1 week prior to the next pay-per-view. So basically you can decide 1 week on this whatever random show it's going to be on. It's just like, okay, this week I'm going to double my team's points. And the only time you can't do that is during a pay-per-view, because pay-per-views score more points than regular weekly TV shows. So just to make sure it's not too overpowered, you'd only be able to do that on a week where there's not any like NXT or main roster pay-per-view. So as I say, those are a little bit more complexity to it, but I'll make sure that everyone is always kept up to speed as to what that means and who's got the number of pay-per-view predictions and who's won X number of predictions and what that means for them moving forward in the fantasy league.
Yeah, you definitely have to keep us posted, because we usually even forget about the pay-per-view predictions, let alone all the you're talking about, like you've had 3 trades and whatever, like, yeah.
No, it's all right. That's what I'm here for, to keep running it. I just want to have like a little bit of complexity, because I always like to mix these rules up, because I just get bored doing the same thing.
Yeah,
like, I don't think like I've been doing this for like 3 or 4 years now, and it's a case of I think I've never kept the same rules entirely across all of those ones, because it just I always like to freshen it up.
XOY in the chat right now saying, I hope to get updates about this more often than before. Otherwise, I just see the teams on draft day. You can always check on WWE Fantasy League.com. It'll take you to that section of the website. And then right now, it's not a post up yet for this, because we haven't done this one yet. But eventually, there's going to be a post up that'll have like the current breakdown of everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it will have a spreadsheet at the bottom where you can keep track of all the teams as they go along. But if people are interested as well, I can also start posting periodic updates in the Mega Maniacs or something along those lines, in order to keep some kind of tally of what's going on. Still going to be doing that. If people want to, just let me know, and I will devote some time to doing that. It'll just be like a really quick update thing. It won't be anything super fleshed out on a post, but points. So this is how we will be accruing points across the season. So your TV points, if you appear on a show, if your superstar appears on a show, you get 1 point. If they don't appear on a show, they lose a point. So adding a bit more jeopardy, you don't want people no-showing your events.
Ooh.
If people win a match by any fashion, so that's pinfall, submission, DQ, count out, knockout, whatever terms you want to go for it, if they win, they get 3 points. If they lose any match by any means, they lose a point. And if there's a draw or no contest, then no points for that person. On pay-per-view, points are a little bit elevated. If you appear on the show, you get 2 points. If you don't appear on a pay-per-view, it's minus 2 points, because pay-per-views should be important and people should be wanting to be on those shows. And if you're not, then that should be bad. That should be a negative reflection on you. If you win a match on pay-per-view, you get 5 points. If you lose a match on a pay-per-view, you only lose 1 point. Just going to keep that the same across the board. And again, draw, no contest, 0 points. And then there are some points for some special results. So if you win a Battle Royal on TV, you get 5 points. If you win a Battle Royal on pay-per-view, you get 7 points, because they're more impressive matches. There's more people involved. If you win a tournament of any kind, King of the Ring, Queen of the Ring, which are never coming back, but this whole World Championship, if there's a tournament to build that up, you get an additional 5 points for winning the tournament. If you win Money in the Bank, you get 10 points, because Money in the Bank's a big deal. In Chamber, you get 10 points for winning that as well, because there's only usually like 2 of those that happen every year, so it's a bigger event. If you not just win, but you survive a Survivor Series elimination tag team match, if they do decide to do those this year, because I know they did War Games the previous year, so it depends on what they decide to do. But if you survive it, then you get an additional 3 points on your score. And then if you win a Royal Rumble, you get 15 points, because the Royal Rumble is the biggest event of the year, biggest single match, so it should have the most points weighted to it. Speaking of extra points, championships. If you win a world championship at any point in this season, if one of your superstars wins a world title, they get 10 points. So definitely want to be aiming for the people that might win that vacant world championship, because that's definitely going to count as one of the. If you win either a mid-card title or a tag team title, and that counts Intercontinental, United States, North American, or the Heritage Cup, depending on what they decide to do with it, that will count as the mid-card title. I should say the world title is classed as the Undisputed Universal Championship, the new WWE World Heavyweight Championship, the NXT Championship, and the Raw, SmackDown, and NXT Women's Championships.
If they do the whole thing where for some reason Roman's got the 2 titles, but they haven't clarified yet if that means that it's just going to carry 1 belt, or if they have 3 world titles, I would assume the WWE title too.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And then mid-card titles, I'd say those are the ones that you're selecting there, or the tag team titles, which is the Raw and SmackDown tag, which are currently unified, but if they get split, then it's Raw and SmackDown. The women's tag team titles, the NXT women's tag team titles, and the NXT tag team titles, they all get 5 points because they're slightly less than the world title. And then an addition for this one, which I felt was a little bit unfair, especially with Roman, being the fact that he never drops the title, but he defends it. Doesn't defend it very often, but he does defend it. So if you successfully defend your title, you get 3 points.
Cool.
As well. So there's a little bit more incentive to pick champions rather than people that might win titles. And here is a little extra wrinkle, which I added at the last minute, which I've kind of teased to these guys, but I haven't actually explicitly said what it is. So let's make win-loss records matter beyond just picking up points for wins and losing points for losses. Over the course of the season, keep track of every superstar's win-loss record that we draft from the moment that they're drafted. So basically, if you pick someone off SummerSlam and you add them to your team, their win-loss record will track between SummerSlam and the end of the season. Essentially, what will happen is at the end of the season, if a superstar has a positive win record, they will earn points equivalent to the difference between their wins and losses multiplied by 5. So what that means, if a superstar ends the season with a 38 to 33 win-loss record, then that superstar will gain 25 points because it's the difference of 5 times that by 5, get 25 extra points. If a superstar's final win-loss record is instead like something like 18 to 21, then you'll get penalized because they have a worst win-loss record. So you times that -3 by 5 and you lose 15 points. That is my Steiner math for this one. So it also adds an incentive really for certain, like trying not to draft superstars too late to your roster or making too many trades. Or it's not and disincentive to not make many trades, because I'm kind of going to keep track of most superstars' win-loss records. It's easy enough to do. There's cage match. There's a lot of resources that exist. So I might keep track of pretty much every superstar's win-loss record. So if you trade someone in, I'll keep it. It's kind of like one of those things where if you trade someone in, I'll probably keep track of them from the moment they're drafted onto anybody's team. And then if they get dropped and someone else picks them up later on, I'll just keep track of their scores from that point, just so they're still like they're picking up it's keeping like a decent track of their win-loss record, rather than you pick someone up at like towards the very end of the draft or very end of the season, and so they only have like 3 matches between then, and so there's not going to be that much of a difference in their win-loss records. As I say, it's just going to be my responsibility to keep track of those win-loss records and use that in order to add a little bit of additional points being added to or taken away from anyone's respective teams. In the same way that last season we had the penalty points associated with if people didn't show up for a certain number of weeks or they were released during their run in the company. So,
and you're not carrying that over quite yet. The same sort of thing, right? Because it's just if you don't appear, you get negative points. But it's not going to be you have to reach a certain amount of appearances before getting another big thing, right?
Yeah, no, that's disappeared entirely.
Okay.
That's a rule that's not been carried over. It's just a means of it's just a means of at the end of the season there could be something which changes the dynamic completely, depending on how well the people we've drafted have performed across the entirety of the year. Just as a means of we might feel like somebody's super far ahead, but then we look back afterwards and feel like, oh, actually, this person had a really decent win-loss record, and that's boosted them up super high at the end of it. And it could, as I always want to add a little bit of jeopardy so things can completely change at the end of the season than what it seemed like it was going on throughout the course of the season. There is one major points deduction thing though as well, is that if any superstar that you do draft your team gets released during the time, then you will lose 50 points immediately.
Yeah, I mean that should pretty much be a rule going forward with that, because it's the worst thing that can happen when it comes to somebody on this pick.
We would have all gotten screwed last year. Yeah,
and in an era now where they're saying that they want to take $50 million and put that back into the cover. It's now somewhat of a risk to who you want to pick, but you should be safe with at least the first 10. You'd imagine. Yeah. Just don't probably pick Bray Wyatt, maybe. But
well, Rob, I'm not gonna sleep on your Guru Raj pick.
That is the main rules. So I've pretty much covered all of it there. As I say, the rules will be appearing on the Fantasy League post when it finally goes live sometime later this week. Once we've drafted all the teams and have all that sorted, and I'll just be putting everything together. So I'd say probably you're looking at maybe Friday, Saturday, Sunday. That's when it's going to go live on the website. So I'd say I'll post it on the Mega Maniacs when it does go live, and it will go up on like Twitter and Facebook and other places as well when it does. So yeah, and then you'll be able to track all the rules, take them for yourself. If you want to use them for your own fantasy league, feel free to do so. And yeah, I think that's pretty much covers everything up until the point of us drafting.
Alrighty, so the draft order is me, Rob, Callum, correct?
Yes. So this was based on our WrestleMania 39 predictions and how well we did there. Tony won those prediction contest.
Woo.
Rob came second. I came third. So we're going to do this snake style as we always do, but Tony will get the honor of the first pick, then Rob, then me. I'll get 2 picks, then Rob, then Tony. Tony gets 2 picks. Rob's in the middle, as he always prefers to be.
Yeah, that's right. I'm always in the middle.
Monkey in the middle, right? Well, I don't know how shocking of a pick this would be to be the first overall pick, but you might not have expected it from me necessarily. Gunther.
That is an interesting pick.
Yes,
it's not entirely surprising, but it's a good option, I'd say.
I figure he is almost guaranteed to keep that Intercontinental title for a long while, maybe all the way through September, maybe even longer. He has a very good chance of winning that World Heavyweight Championship at some point before WrestleMania, because the likelihood is we're probably going to get somebody like a babyface to offset Roman, and then who's going to be the top heel? There aren't a whole lot of top heels on Raw right now. Gunther's got a great set of, I mean, he's going to appear often, even if he's just with Imperium and not wrestling. He's going to beat practically everybody. Highly doubt he's going to lose. I feel like he's going to be a major points getter.
Already, I find myself stuck between 2 interesting picks, but out of sheer confidence in this individual and Night of Champions and sheer fear of losing him, I'm going to go with Seth Rollins for my first pick.
He was my second, damn.
It's a good option. Like, he's definitely a front runner for this new World Championship. Definitely someone that I was considering.
Now you're going to get 2 picks here, right, Kel?
Yes.
Let's see how fast my other guy goes.
Well, I'm going to go for... See, it's tense because there are some good choices. There's plenty of good choices. There's obviously great people here. I'm going to go with Cody Rhodes.
Yeah, that was my number 3.
My first pick. Yeah.
Okay.
Just because I think there's a chance he wins that world title and he's going to appear often enough. Mm-hmm. So And then I'm going to dip first into the women's picks.
You don't get points for adversity, right?
Oh, I'd be swimming in points if there was adversity available. I'm going to go with Rhea Ripley.
Damn.
Solid.
I'd say it's a minimum of 3. You can obviously pick more than 3 if you wish to, but yeah.
My top woman's pick. She was my next in line too, so that's the top 4 in order.
I'm going to go with, similar to Tony's selection of Gunther. I hope I'm not wrong. I hope this person is still basically going to run through everybody. I pick Solo Sikoa.
God damn, that was my... Alright, maybe it's that. Okay, so Backlash doesn't count, right? Towards the points.
It will count as points, but it will count as points, yeah. Backlash will count for points.
How are you factoring in the swap of the championships? Because they technically consider that a new title win. So
I think that's bullshit, so I'm not going to do that.
Okay.
I'm not going to count. I'm not going to count a title. You have to win a title.
Just to be sure,
being handed one. Yeah.
Still, I'm going to go with my 2 picks being Bianca Belair.
Damn it.
And I'm going to go Carmelo Hayes. Secure myself that NXT pick. The guy who's going to carry that belt for a long while, appears on shows very frequently.
Hate you. Okay, so those 2 picks are the first that really sting because they were...
Sting's not eligible.
Close to, I'm aware of that. They were very close to being my next picks.
X and Y, the chat saying that Gable Steveson should be picked.
He actually can't be drafted because
he never did anything. Yeah,
he hasn't wrestled.
Oh yeah, that's something I should have mentioned though. So people that we are drafting from, they have to have wrestled in the past year or so, which is why you won't see people like. There's no Big E on there. There's certain people from like NXT that haven't wrestled in a long time that aren't available. Yeah, so Gable Stevenson's not available because he hasn't actually wrestled a match. So,
Christ. I'm gonna take a chance here. I hope she doesn't let me down. Tiffany Stratton.
Damn. Yeah, I was hoping to get Tiffany Stratton.
I hope she wins that tournament.
That's a good shout with that one. Okay. I love how we're dancing around Roman.
We are totally.
Oh yeah, I mean, a couple drafts ago, that was like, yeah, everybody's. Oh man, who's gonna get Roman?
Last year's draft, I was nothing but confident that I had Roman Reigns.
Yeah, we're just like all the shows you're gonna get -1 point on when he doesn't appear. It's kind of like it's just the balancing act of all of that stuff. Just looking through the list now. I want someone who's going to appear often. Might win stuff. That's the main parameters, really. I'm gonna go with Sami Zayn.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Shoot.
I'll hold those titles for a little while, I imagine. Oh yeah, and I get a second pick. Do I pick Kevin Owens now? Let's see. I kind of want to mix it up a little bit. Part of me wants to pick him. I'm trying to, again, I'm just realizing he might lose a lot of matches because he's in a tag team now. And that's what they do when you're in
What, Sammy?
Yeah, when you're in a tag team, you start losing. That's what happens.
Especially if you're champions, because you have to lose to put over the challengers.
I'm gonna go with Becky Lynch.
Damn.
Great pick.
I was like, okay, she'll be my next women's pick, and then fuck.
This is my first risky one. You better not screw me over, but you can't bet against Charlotte Flair.
I actually didn't have her in my top 33.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't know how long she's going to be away from now.
Yeah, she doesn't pop up as much anymore, so I was like, that's too risky.
You have to imagine that with Money in the Bank coming, she's got to be on the show soon. Yeah,
but in the grand scheme, how many weeks is she going to be off? And
I'd say if she's around from SummerSlam till WrestleMania, really a reasonable gamble to take.
Yeah. So, I mean, I am going to continue with that Kevin Owens pick that you didn't do.
Yeah, that's fair.
And
I don't know. I think
I think
That's the last of your solid picks.
I think I'm going to go with Grayson Waller.
That is a gamble, pal.
I think there's a good chance he might win that United States title this year. He might get one of those pushes that they give to the new NXT crop.
I'm gonna bet on someone who's been high up on the cards pretty much since he's come back to this company, and one of the only top stars they have left on a full-time basis, Bobby Lashley.
He was my next pick. Damn it! I actually had him above Grayson Waller, and I decided at the last second to not pick Bobby.
Okay, he's back, so I'm gonna take him. I'm gonna take AJ Styles.
That was one of my next picks.
He was.
I'm just not sold on how they're gonna use him.
He was my number 20 or my number 19 pick.
That's my last protected pick. So next one I'm gonna go with is Raquel Rodriguez.
Damn. I was kind of hoping that I could that I could sleep on Raquel for a little bit there.
She's tag champion now. She's probably going to get pushed towards a world title at some point, and not necessarily win it, but she doesn't lose very often. So
here's a fun gamble. Give me Alba Fire.
Not in my top 30.
I don't think it's a bad choice.
No, I think that she is probably going to make some waves.
She's got a belt that could maybe become the SmackDown Women's Tag Team Championship. Who knows?
I don't know what the hell they're doing when it comes to that.
It'd be weird if she was, because she's on Raw.
Oh
no, she's on SmackDown.
She's on SmackDown.
Oh, she's on SmackDown?
Yeah.
I thought she was off.
No, the other two are on Raw. Kaden and Casey.
Yeah.
Oh right.
They were they were having a match on NXT to determine who would take the NXT championships to Raw or SmackDown or vacate it, which makes no fucking sense whatsoever. Really quickly to address in the chat, Guy123 asking who do you think might be released this year. I think Hit Row. I can tell you one thing: I am not drafting Hit Row. I got 40 something people that I will pick over anybody in Hit Row, including I will go with Roxanne Perez.
Good choice.
And I will hedge my bets a little bit and make sure that I get my other, because we had 3 women's picks we need to do, right? Yeah.
Yes.
So I have Bianca, I have Roxanne. I'm going to add Liv Morgan to that.
You asshole.
Another good show.
I was going to pick Raquel, but fuck.
Quick question. What are the penalties regarding not a championship loss, but a championship vacation?
You don't lose points for losing your title.
Oh, okay, so
Pile it on.
give me Ivy Nile.
Ivy Nile.
You mean Indy Hartwell?
No. What's her? Isla Dawn.
Okay.
Ava Rain. He wants to pick Ava Rain.
Well, you don't get points for just appearance.
Yeah, you do, right?
Yeah, you lose points for every show you're not on.
But as long as kind of like a Paul Heyman, but not a Paul Heyman.
Oh yeah, essentially like as long as like she's appearing on the shows and not wrestling. Even if she's not wrestling, she'll still get points. But yeah,
that's one to think about there, Tony.
Yeah, I ain't picking her.
Yeah. Let's see. I haven't picked my NXT pick yet, actually. And technically, right now he's on NXT, so I'm going to take Bron Breakker.
Bron Breakker was the next in line for me.
And even if he moves to main roster, he was on NXT when I picked him. So
yeah, it still counts.
But I might take another one from NXT as well, just because there are some options there. I mean, you still get you don't have as many pay-per-views, but you might get some stuff that's good. I'm gonna take Dragon Lee.
That's smart. He's not losing for a while.
Potentially, he's already lost, but no. Not technically, he's not been pinned, but he has lost that fatal 4-way. So.
Dragon Lee.
Well, I mean,
that's
actually not true. I guess he was pinned last night, wasn't he?
He beaten?
Yeah, McDonough beat him.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
yeah, a little bit of interference from Noam Dar.
Okay.
All right, I'm gonna hope that they see great things for this person and ignore that they were picked in the supplemental part of the draft and say, "Give me Zoe Stark."
Damn.
I'm big on women on this one.
Zoe Stark is taken out. Dragon Lee is taken out. I did not have Islet Dawn on my list. The hell do I have left on this that I should go with?
Because we don't have that many picks left, do we?
No, I've got.
Tony's got 3 picks left. We've
Yeah.
both got 2.
All right, so
I'm
then
entering my final round after this.
I'm not loving the options for some of them, but I'll go Matt Riddle.
Yeah, so now this is where the win-loss records really come into it, because like they could be anything from this point onwards, really.
And these two are total fucking gambles. You know, I'm going to go double down on some of the women here. I'm going to go Cora Jade.
That's an interesting pick. I would have picked her. I kind of wish I picked her over Zoe.
Another option for that NXT Women's title.
Yep.
Yeah, but I should have had my bets. Goodness.
Commander Aziz. I'm not picking him.
No.
I'll tell you who I won't be picking, the Dyad. You know what?
You gonna pick your Bronson Reed pick yet?
No. Definitely not going into Backlash. Give me Montez Ford, who I feel like will win matches.
That's a really good pick, actually. I didn't think about that.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. Okay. Final picks.
I should have.
Quincy Elliott.
Oh.
And Scripps. There you go.
I'm going to go with Dominic Mysterio.
That's a good pick. I was thinking.
Not a bad pick. I mean, that guy keeps getting so much heat.
There's a chance they'll put a title on him.
At least
Maybe
a tag title, yeah.
Yeah. And the other choices, there's lots of options. I'm going to go Roman Reigns.
Are you going to risk it?
My next question. My next question was going to be, when exactly do we add members to our teams? Because I'd consider.
So I'm gonna risk it on the basis that he's gonna have a good win-loss record at the end of it, and I might be able to
recoup some of those points.
Recoup some of the losses that I'm gonna take from it. I think he's worth the risk. So final pick for you, Rob, for this first 10.
Yeah, I need to really think about this. I need to think about Backlash. I need to think about the World Championship tournament. Shame Bad Bunny's not on this.
I mean, he has actually wrestled in the last year, so he couldn't anyway.
You know what? God, this is a fucking gamble. But give me Finn Balor.
One that was actually tossing up between him and Dominic, really.
I was thinking about Finn. I was thinking about Bronson. I've got on my list Austin Theory. I've got Cameron Grimes. I got LA Knight and all. Johnny Gargano's on there too. But I am going to go with my final pick, Rey Mysterio.
Rey Mysterio was one I was considering as well. And now that we have gone with our first 10 picks, I have to say, immediately sticks in the mind, obvious omissions, the Usos.
I think it's a mixed bag for them, because if they do introduce a separate tag titles to SmackDown, then that might be a missed opportunity. And the ones that I was toying around between the Usos as well, potentially getting one of them. I was really interested in Julius Creed, because I think that he's going to get pushed as singles as well as the tag team of the Creed brothers at some point. Just gonna see a lot of potential in him.
Yeah.
Pretty Deadly were up there as well.
I had Pretty Deadly in my my kind of just shy of my pick range.
Potentially Shinsuke, but that's all very much like how much longevity does that have?
He's gonna at least get through the Miz. So
yeah,
that's some easy.
Everyone does.
Hell, I thought about picking Bray Wyatt.
I thought about it too.
You know, even though I rag on that all the time about being like, this is a pretty pointless character in so many different ways and all. I'm like, if they still keep hiring writers specifically for this guy, there's going to be something in mind, you know? And maybe he's somebody who feuds over the World Heavyweight Championship or something. Maybe he feuds with Roman, whatever they would plan on doing. But he was somebody that was higher up on my list. I could say one of my biggest, like, damn, I was hoping to take that one was definitely Solo. So
I started really strong. I like my first two picks. I like the Bobby pick. I feel like almost immediately as I said Zoe Stark, I'm like, I just gambled away my future because like I don't know what they're gonna do with her. But I really see her as someone who you're gonna need top singles wrestler soon, and she can climb that ladder quickly.
Yeah, I think out of the choices for the women's side of things, the one that's I'm surprised everyone slept on, including myself, actually now looking back at it, is Asuka.
I don't have a whole lot of faith in Asuka. Not that she can't do it, but I just feel like they almost never give her a push unless they need to. Like if somebody's injured or something.
She hasn't been back on TV since WrestleMania, so
right.
But hear me out. If they, like we were saying yesterday in our predictions, if they go with Io, I can see Io and Asuka getting us through the summer.
Yeah.
Potentially, yeah. This is one of my choices on the women's side as well. I mean, Trish could have been interesting as someone that you get in the hopes that you can then drop her soon afterwards, trade her away. But you know, maybe like Scarlett and Ronda as well. Not Scarlett and Ronda, Shayna and Ronda.
Yeah, if the injuries weren't in a factor here, Ronda would have been a good pick. Nikita Lyons, I think, probably would have gotten picked by one of us just because.
Sol Ruca, I would have picked Sol Ruca.
Yeah, probably Sol Ruca would have been in the mix there. Maybe even like Randy Orton, because hey, if he's on Monday Night Raw, he could always be feuding with like a Cody if he's the champion, or Seth or whatever. So I mean, that's a big factor too. It's a shame though when you see certain people like a Ricochet, and it's like I don't think Ricochet was on any of our lists as like to really pick, and it's like damn, he's so talented and everything, and
you know one that I almost picked for the appearance points, even though I think she's going to lose a lot. Chelsea Green's probably going to be on every show. You know, like she's always doing something. One of those weird picks of like, you don't always do something with, you know, Dolph Ziggler or Austin Theory can get picked. We didn't pick Austin Theory, which is shocking to me because he was drafted first to SmackDown.
The reason why I didn't pick Theory was mostly because he's on SmackDown. And I was like, all right, he could very well lose that belt to Bobby Lashley this weekend. And on top of it, that's the only belt he's got any chance to win. He's not beating Roman. Roman's not dropping the belt, and then Austin Theory could potentially be the one that beats the guy who beats Roman. So I'm like, all right, Theory either keeps that belt, which the likelihood he's going to keep that over the course of the next year and defend that a million times and win, very low. Or he ends up just dropping it, and then he's just another guy. And if that's the case, I might as well pick an LA Knight, which I really came close to picking. But I'm like,
I have questions about that because a lot of people are like on this LA Knight train, and I'm sort of just sitting there like, they're not going to look at him for a long-term spot.
No, he strikes me as like a Zack Ryder. Experiment they'll do. They'll give him something at some point, but then they'll take it away within a couple of weeks. But
do you think by the time we get to Night of Champions, there's going to be some of us that are just like, how did we not pick?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Rock. You know, like
yeah,
yeah,
might be.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll regret certain people when we look at it and just see how well they've done, especially because we have no idea how the draft is going to affect things.
Yeah, and the draft hasn't come into effect yet.
Who's going to get pushed out the result of it. But that's why there's the option to be expanding our teams and also the incentive to win the pay-per-view prediction contest, because that's the only way you're going to be switching these teams, because as of right now, these are the fixed teams until, at the very least, Night of Champions. So, and until people start winning a predictions contest, the only thing you can do is add to it. You can't take away or swap people out.
We got a super chat in here from Marco for $2 for let's go, Rob.
Yeah, thank you. I'm gonna win this year. I mean,
you got Rollins. I mean, you might have a world champion for the next year with him.
I'm really counting on Rollins, Lashley, and them putting the belt on Stratton.
There's a really good chance that you can end up getting some solid points from those three that end up being like kind of like running away with points.
Yeah, I'm really banking on Rollins at this current stage in this exact moment. We could get to, January and it'd be like, I can't believe he was my first pick.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting track to see who's going to be ahead going into at least Night of Champions, because...
Do I get points for the reality show that Montez Ford is going to be?
Is it on Raw, SmackDown, or NXT?
Well, they might show clips. Tony, you vouch for this too. You got the Anka.
Only if I get double the points. I would say Callum's biggest pick that I am more like, man, I really wish I could have grabbed out of all of them would have been Raquel, because I think that there's a really good chance Raquel's the one that beats Rhea at WrestleMania.
Almost wish I'd made her one of my protected picks. Because, to be fair, it won't threaten me for a while, but
yeah.
Who knows? It could be the point where she's getting built up to WrestleMania and someone else decides, I can get rid of her now.
Right.
So we'll wait and see. I'm looking forward to... I think Rhea is my strongest pick overall.
Yeah, I think so.
I think that she's going to hold that title for a long time. And yeah, who knows? And who knows what's going to happen with Cody? Cody's the wild card out. Even though he's my first pick, I know he's going to win most of his matches. It's just I have no idea what titles he's going to win.
I think you did the right thing, because I think a naive me, by SummerSlam, Cody Rhodes will be a world champion. I don't have as much faith as other people do that they're going to drag Roman out. I think as soon as they hit that 1,000, they're going to go, let's get this thing off this fucking guy.
I'll say this, if you would have gone with somebody other than Cody, you would have gone with like Rhea and Sammy, for instance, like just to bump your two up. If Rob wouldn't have picked Cody, then in that Solo Sikoa spot, it was going to be for me. It's Cody or Solo, for sure.
I would have tried to get Cody.
Yeah, I figured you probably would have. Then I'd be like, I'd get Solo, and then my top two would be Gunther and Solo, which would be, kind of strange, but I do feel like Gunther being that top pick is going to be the thing that saves me for a good portion of this. And I actually think that the Carmelo Hayes pick is going to be one of my strongest ones.
Yeah, that could definitely be a really good one as well, if he does hold the title for a long time. Because there's nobody that stands out at the moment in NXT as an immediate challenger after Braun Breaker.
Yeah, and I just don't think Breaker's winning a Battleground.
I think the next challenger, as it was at this time last year, was it last year or 2 years ago? When did Joe Gacy challenge Breaker at In Your House? I think that's the next.
Oh, that was around about this time last year, wasn't it?
Probably.
He was the first guy that really challenged him after he beat Ziggler for it.
Yeah, so. I think that Gacy's the next one that Hayes has to run through. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I think the In Your House match is.
Sounds about right.
Yeah,
but yeah,
that's our top 10 picks for this whole thing, and then as the season continues, there will be more updates on WWE Fantasy League.com. It just takes you right to that section of smarkoutmoment.com, which you could just type smarkout.com, that Callum realized for the first time over the course of the past few days or so.
Oh, yeah.
You're like, wait a minute, I don't have to type moment. So we got that going on. And of course, we'll be giving you updates when it comes to things like we talk about the Backlash, Fallout, on the pay-per-view point post-show that's happening this weekend. Frankie's saying in the chat, I think Callum's got the number one Are you saying, I think Callum number one, you think Callum's got the best pick, or that you are thinking Callum's got the best team? I think you're saying that you got the best team.
I think Callum has the most of the secured picks. I think Callum has the most sure secured picks out of all of us.
I mean, it's natural to think I'm going to win because it kind of almost always happens.
I won last year. I didn't win last year. I won the year before that, and I'm going to win again.
Guy 123 asking, can you react to Bash at the Beach 2000? What was on that one?
Is that
that's Vince Russo saying, "Fuck you, Hulk Hogan, bald bastard."
You know what I'll say to this guy 123? There's a Dark Side of the Ring coming out about that. Maybe we can plan something to coincide with that.
When's that coming out?
At some point in May, end of May, early June.
In Jamaica? Okay.
Yeah, maybe in Jamaica.
Yeah, it's
making it crazy.
I'll add that down to my list of potential things that we can do. XOY said Rob's going to beat Callum. Yeah, look at that.
I mean, I got a fight ahead of me, but we'll see.
We won't know anything until one of these guys could get injured in the next couple of months.
I know one of our secured picks. Like imagine Carmelo or Gunther going down for Tony, or imagine me losing Seth Rollins early, or Cody Rhodes gets hurt again,
or Charlotte leaves and goes to AEW or something crazy like that.
Or honestly, they're doing this thing with Becky right now where, she's not around. What if that becomes her shtick for this year?
It's like, what are you going to do this year? Not be around. Cool.
Oh yeah, it's going to be super competitive, and also just so people are aware, when we do pay-per-view post shows and stuff like that, we'll maybe not necessarily, but it seems like that's the most appropriate time to make picks on the spot for the new teams as well, like the new addition to each team. So, maybe there's been a return or something like that, and you just want to pick that person immediately, or you just want to secure a debuting superstar or something like that, then you can just get them immediately. So,
I'll say this: I have more high hopes for the female Olympic gold medalist that just signed with WWE than I do Gable Steveson.
Who did they? I don't know. Why am I even asking? I'm not going to know her name.
Yeah.
Yeah, you will. She's the other one that showed up at SummerSlam with Gable Steveson.
Yeah, I still don't know her name.
Well, that's terrible. Tamara Mentos-Stock, I believe the name is. And
so you don't know it either.
I'm not solid on it. I think she's going to be way more passionate about this than Gable Steveson ever was.
Well, if she does more than one hip toss, then she's already beaten. Yeah. That's all he's done, right? So, yeah.
He did the milk with Kurt Angle.
Oh, yeah. He drank some milk. Imagine getting paid for that. Just drink milk once. Anyway, that is going to do us in for this Fantasy League thing. Remember to stay tuned for everything else that we've got going on here. And, of course, we've got some other stuff coming your way when it comes to the hot tags. We got the Backlash stuff going on. We've got... we're actually going to record next week's main event now after this. Not while we're still live, but we're going to do that, get that out of the way. And that's going to be based off of fantasy booking the people who have won the previous World Heavyweight Championship into an ultimate card. So stay tuned for that coming up next week. And of course, more episodes of the hot tags and everything else going forward. Maybe the Bash at the Beach thing coming up. Who knows? I don't know when we would get around to doing that. If it's Jamaica is when they're doing that. And stay tuned not only to Smark Out Moment, but also fanboysanonymous.com for everything on the Blue brand that's happening in the geek culture spectrum. Like, for instance, tomorrow night, I'll be watching Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, so I'll do something based off of that, whether it's a review point, podcast, or maybe an article or something along those lines. But also stay tuned to the next round of whatever it is for the Blueprint project that I put out there. It's most likely going to be Chapter 4 of the Batman A Nighttime Story, 100 records from the Wayne Foundation archives, but it also could be something maybe about Star Wars. I've kind of been thinking about maybe putting something out there about my rewrite for that, or maybe I decide to do one of those little spin-off videos that I mentioned about the Mafia for Batman, or something like the Power Rangers side of it, because Absolute Power Rangers, A Mighty Morphin Epic is another one of those facets of the Blueprint project. You can find all that stuff over on fanboysanonymous.com, but you should also be clicking around on the link tree that I've got on amangotree.com or anthonymango.com. Like, follow, favorite, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Do the same thing for Rob and Callum.
Yep, you can follow me everywhere at Dude Felice, including Twitter, Instagram, Twitch, and any new social medias that may pop up, because I know a lot of people are getting that Blue Sky invite. Of course, check out my work on Fightful. Check out my work on WrestleZone. DudeFelice.com, forever coming soon, and so many dream projects that if I ever get off the ground, you'll be the first to hear about them. Alan?
You can follow me on Twitter at Wigmeister14, as well as the Fantasy League, which you'll soon be able to follow over on smarkoutmoment.com and WWE Fantasy League.com once we get those posts up on the website. There's also the Power Rankings, which is my current weekly contribution to the website and has been for a good number of years now, where I rank the WWE superstars from 10 to 1 every single week, just to see who's doing well, who's doing badly. You can keep track of all that stuff right there on smarkoutmoment.com. And yeah, that is it from me.
That's going to do us in for this episode, everybody. Thank you for joining us for this bonus little main event that we have. And be sure to stay tuned to WWEFantasyLeague.com and SmarkOutMoment.com for more. And until we see you next, which will be the hot tags, we will also round things out with Backlash stuff after that. And then we'll come back around next week with the next main event. But in the meantime, enjoy yourself. Enjoy Dynamite tonight. And we'll see you then. But this has been another Smark Out Moment. And we are being counted out.